as everyone has said, we're really glad you survived this thing because, people have all kinds of crazy notions about what to do. As you know, the man who is running the country suggested that, some kind of light therapy or disinfectant, could be used. I mean, where are you in terms of how this has been handled, having gone through it yourself? Where do you stand about what you're hearing from the top people?
Well, I think it's all about science. We have to follow the doctor's advice and the scientist's advice. That's who we should be listening to at this point.
I just think so many people watch the president. He's the leader of our country. And when you see him, whether he's joking or not, literally looking at people and saying, basically implying, oh, you can chug bleach or, maybe we can inject some light into you. That is the exact opposite of what a leader should be doing. And we can tune him out. And a lot of people are
heard got coronavirus. We don't know how. He did exactly what people should do. He quarantined himself when he thought he just had a cold. I was still in Minnesota. By the time I got back to Washington, he was much sicker. And I just kept calling in, what's your temperature? What's your temperature? And it turned out that for 10 days it was over 100 degrees. He eventually got pneumonia. He was coughing up blood. And he ended up in the hospital. And so that is, then he really took a bad turn for a few days and needed oxygen. But eventually, as you've heard with so many of these cases, just one day it started to get better. And so he's doing really well right now. He's been out of the hospital for 10 days, and we're in Minnesota, and he's in much better spirits.
What do you think you learned?
He's teaching his classes remotely, so there you go.
What do you think you learned from his experience that you otherwise would not have known about COVID-19?
Well, I think it's what a lot of people, everyone knows someone, a friend or family now. When they're in the hospital, you can't visit them. You can't be by their bedside. You can't hold their hand. And we've even had so many tragic cases where people have died alone. You can't even hug the nurses and the doctors and thank them for what they've done for your loved one because you can only talk to them over the phone. And it's one of the hardest things of many of this disease.
Has it influenced your thought process relative to the discussion or debate about hydroxychloroquine?
I think that I listened to the science there. I believe he did briefly take that drug. I have to check with his doctor because, of course, I wasn't there. But I think that, or some drug like it. But I think that we have to listen to the science and you have to listen to your doctors of what is going to work in each individual situation. Sometimes you might have other conditions that make it so you can't take certain drugs. Sometimes your own condition with the virus wouldn't demand that. And so I think people have to look at what works.
Senator,
I just believe in science, something this president has been not listening to.